For decades, global strategy has centered on a single choice. Do we secure peace by wielding overwhelming strength, or do we achieve it through reconciliation and dialogue? One path views the military as an instrument of maximum lethality. This logic suggests that if a state acts as the most formidable, unpredictable force on the block, smaller adversaries will eventually hit a wall they cannot break through. The alternative focuses on the human cost of conflict. This perspective argues that peace is the active presence of justice and dialogue, rather than the simple absence of war. These two philosophies represent the primary macro-level binary in modern statecraft, but history shows that neither offers a foolproof mechanism for global stability. The failure of modern foreign policy often stems from a major blind spot regarding transactional moves versus long-term transformational change. Iraq and Afghanistan proved that while a military can conquer a territory, it cannot easily hold it. Years of intervention often generate enough long-term animosity to fuel the next generation of conflict. Conversely, waiting for diplomatic transformation is often too slow to stop an immediate massacre. While the outside world waits for change, authoritarian regimes actively suppress their own people and export instability to their neighbors. Because both state-level force and state-level diplomacy have struggled to produce lasting results, global stability remains caught in a dangerous vacuum. To escape this vacuum, we have to look past the movements of states and examine the mechanics of human systems. The tools that defined the 20th century are losing their edge. Power is moving away from the control of industrial resources and toward the control of digital connectivity. This shift creates a direct clash: rigid industrial-era borders versus the fluid nodes of a digital world. Digitally connected people prioritize economic stability over empire building. Their access to global information makes a dictator's narrative nearly impossible to sustain. Using industrial-era force to resolve a digital-era conflict typically creates more resistance than it removes. Social psychology offers a third way. It starts with understanding reactance, the urge to rebel when a person's freedom or identity is threatened. When an identity is attacked, the natural response is to entrench, fueling fanaticism. You break this cycle by lowering the cost of agreeing. Identity validation and unbiased mediation don't just solve arguments, they neutralize the psychological need to fight back. This has happened before. The Roman military maintained the Pax Romana through the sword, yet a new spiritual message of individual worth spread through social networks that Roman hard power couldn't catch or stop. This movement provided a new identity that outlasted the empire's force. Validating an opponent's identity is a practical, tactical method to drain the psychological fuel from a conflict before it escalates. These psychological tools combine into micro-diplomacy. It's a bottom-up transformation that empowers individuals through connectivity, bypassing the decrees of the state. Authoritarian regimes rely on isolation. They thrive by controlling exactly what their people see and by convincing them that the outside world is an existential threat. Integrating a population into the global economy and the internet hacks the dictator's operating system. It provides a competing reality that makes isolation impossible. As people gain access to external information and stability, a regime's ability to maintain an absolute monopoly on their loyalty begins to erode. When citizens have global connections and a prosperous lifestyle to protect, they become much harder to convince to die for a fanatic's territorial ambitions. Resolving underlying injustice and fostering human integration is the only consistent way to cut off the support systems that rogue states depend on. Micro-diplomacy offers a way to bypass the failures of traditional war and slow-moving treaties. By connecting people directly and validating their identity, we can dismantle authoritarian systems from the inside out.